Alaron. It is time this miserable world was rid of you.
Disgusting. Where's the king?
Don't you recognize me, Alaron?
Sure, you're the disgusting thing that calls Rabasat a queen.
You're almost right, laddie. Come up a little closer. I am the monster with the woman's voice, Mistress of Chaos. Come on, come closer. You ruined yourself when you took a name. We had such power in our grasp. You could have been the flame that burned this world to ash and cinders. But instead you chose to be merely human. Now there is nothing left for me but to destroy you.
This is it, folks. The final battle. All hinges upon this. Start casting Mirror immediately. She does the same. There will be no spells used defensively on this. Beacon, get up there and start wailing on her. Loses 14 hit points. Aidyn, same deal. Alaron, I need you to cast Mirror on Keelan. Beacon, hit her again. 11 hit points. And Pochangarat begins to cast Fireball. Alaron is going to resist, and probably Beacon resisted. Aidyn did not resist. It's okay. Alaron, let us get Aidyn in a mirror right now. Keelan, mirror Beacon. Let's get her right next to Pochangarat before we do that. Alright, Aidyn, I want you to take a curing potion for this, since we did take a lot of damage. If she busts through our defenses, I want to make sure everyone has full health, so none of us die. Pochangarat avoids the attack. Beacon, hit her. Loses 10 hit points. Keelan, can we get behind and do a strike? 3 hit points. Not good. Gonna try and cast Fireball again, and fail. Alright, Beacon. Another 11 hit points. It's gonna be a long fight. I really do want to get Alaron healed on his next turn as well. Aidyn, can you get on the other side of her? She's resisting all of those attacks. It's awful. Alright, Alaron, since she seems to be a nuker, we want to... I'm tempted to cast Cheat Death on everybody I can. In fact, I'm going to take a healing potion first, curing potion even, get our hit points back from Sheridan, and then I'm going to begin casting Cheat Death on people, I think. I can't do it on Keelan, so what can Keelan do for us? She can cast Air Shield, but I don't think we're going to do that. We're going to just attack, do as much damage as we can. Beacon. Keep hitting her. Resist the attack from... Alright. I've come so far, I'm not losing this now. Cheat death on myself. Frozen Doom. Hit her again, Beacon. He's doing all our damage right now. I can cast Cheat Death on other people as well with the belt. That's awesome. 21 hit points, there we go. Already down to half health. She casts Fireball. She resists the spell. Alaron resists the spell. Beacon resists. Aidyn resists. I know what I can do. I can cast Versus Elemental as well, and Versus Star to stop her from doing any nonsense. Because if one of these breaks our mirror, that's it. We'll be able to recast mirror throughout the entire battle, and then that'll go from bad to worse, especially if she gets 2 turns in a row every so often. Alright, Aidyn. Nice. Let's get that Versus Elemental off. If I could get everybody, that would be fantastic. There's everybody. Now we have Mirror preventing any spells from getting through, as well as Versus Elemental giving us a 60% resistance to elemental magic. Even if it gets through, it'll do less damage. I think that's how that works. She avoids the attack. 4 hit points. Aidyn, get a different angle. That's better. Get away from her, you bitch! I had to do the alien quote for this, because, man, this thing looks like the queen. A little bit, anyway. Alaron. No, we don't need Cheat Death at this point. We may need Air Shield, though. Let's do that. Everything, all of the buffs. Use them all. Yes! The last time we'll ever be training anything, and only 7,507 XP for killing Pochangarat. Wow. That is a lot less than I thought it was going to be. What do we train? Aidyn can train stamina. We'll do that. Keelan can train stamina as well. Wow. That's it, folks. What do we get for loot? Chaos armor, of all things. And 10 spice. That's it.
Come on, mistress. Come out now if there's any more of you. Squire. You've done enough, Alaron. The king. Alaron, is it really you? My lord. He saw you fight. He saw the whole thing. The creature overpowered me. Yikes. The pain is light indeed, and I've seen your face again, my son. I'm too late. You must listen. I will step away for a moment, I think. My son, the life I lived was not without mistakes, and I have only a moment to free myself of one greatest regret of all. You were a boy when you left Gwernia so long ago. You have made yourself into a man, and you should know before I am gone that you are looking into your father's eyes. It's true, Alaron. I'm your father. Many years ago, when Oysenwood was young, Oriana, how much I loved her, Alaron. And for all these years, I thought her to be dead, murdered by goblins. She cured me when I was injured. In her troubled, gentle eyes, I thought I did see some hint of recognition. You must go to her, Alaron. Go to her and take her in your arms. Tell her of my deep regret, and tell her that my lands, my riches, the love of my people, all are hers. I'm sure that she never for a moment doubted the truth of your love for her father. Good. And I am ready to let go, my son. Sir Abrakin, I am here, my lord. Do not weep for the lost years. Ours was an age of conflict and faction. I only hope that my son's age may be one of peace and companionship. You know full well, even as you speak, who it is that you now must follow, as I have followed you, sir. That is all a king can ask and more. Please, as you wish, my lord. Alaron. Here, sir. It falls to you to wear my crown, rule well in Gwernia, with grace and judgment. I have watched you with a loving eye since birth, and I know that you have the soul of a great leader within you. All of this will be done as you've instructed, Father. Now step back from me for a moment, my good son. The pain of the warrior at death's gate must ever be a private thing. I hear faint voices in the spirit world that summon me to rest. And one voice, I think, has an unexpected familiarity, a gentle summoning sweetness from far-off days so long remembered. I can resist no longer. Goodbye, my beloved son. Goodbye, Father. Friends, visitors, guests from Merriman, today in Pome, the desert, and all along the roads, the smoke is gone, and the burning stopped. The war is ended, and the plain restored, and your king is home at last. Alaron, Alaron, Alaron!
Yes. My crown. Bring me my crown. Long live the king. Long live Gwernia. Long live the king. Long live Gwernia. Long live... Wait! Can it really be? My son. My beautiful son. I feel so proud of you. And soon... Just buggered off. Don't mind her, she never could finish a thought. Do magic. Wow. That, my friends, was Aidyn Chronicles the First Mage. A game that's still just as near and dear to my heart as it was before when I was a kid growing up. What an amazing success I've had for my first LP, and indeed my first Iron Man LP. I'm so fortunate to have been able to pull this off. There are times I thought I would never have been able to do this, and we did have some close calls in there a few times, but we got there in the end. And more importantly, I really want to thank all of you, anyone who's stuck by me through this journey over the course of 8 months, or picking up somewhere in the middle, even if you started watching halfway through, and to anyone, especially those who commented and gave me so much encouragement to continue on with it. I'm touched by that. I normally I don't. I just I don't have the words to express the gratefulness I have that people actually care enough to watch what I do, especially when I'm not the best commentator. I did my best, and it's such a... I'm not good at expressing my thoughts in the moment a lot of times. It takes me a long time to formulate things, and at the end, it takes me a long time to say the things I really mean, and I'm grateful for everyone to have stuck around, even when I stutter over my words and can't formulate my thoughts properly. It means a lot. I think, you know what, we will go ahead and play the credits again, because... Yeah, can we play the credits, please? No, we can't play the credits. Well, then let's kill the music and turn on something a little different. It's more than I could have asked for on my first Let's Play. To play this game that I really thought didn't get a fair shake when it was launched. Everyone seemed, at that point in gaming history, everyone was sort of focused on graphics, and it was the only thing that mattered for the Nintendo 64 era and PlayStation 1 because of the big competition between them. I think a lot of companies that reviewed this game didn't really take the time to look past the surface and see that there was something great there. The amount of customization you can put into your character to see the seed that you plant and watch it grow into a tree that bears fruit. It's great when you see your character become more and more powerful, and you see Alaron grow from such a weak and frail character to really a powerhouse just by dominating everything. I think that's really it's a good thing, but it's also a bit of a curse with Aidyn in that the enemies in the game didn't scale very well with your leveling. Certain spells are very, very overpowered. Debilitation and stupidity, and I'm not sure if I regret exploiting them as much as I did, just knowing the mechanics. I mean, I can't really fault myself for having put the time into this game over the years to know how to play it really well, or as well as I could. I mean, the only times that I was really in danger were in the beginning, when we lost Brenna and when we almost lost Aberkin before that, and after that it was more due to my own apathy and my more cocksureness. Then that's what caused us to get into trouble. It wasn't the game necessarily. It was just those curveballs that I would throw sometimes with Fireball and Hellhounds and other such enemies that do have the spells that we have, that they can take advantage of it. I think if the enemies in Aidyn had a lot more variety to their spell casting and to their abilities, maybe better enemies that synergize off each other, and that's something that didn't really happen in Aidyn. Like, I don't know, you might have an encounter with dire wolves and thieves, and the dire wolves cast darkness, and that might benefit the thieves in some way. It's such a shame that Aidyn wasn't made for computer. I've said this before. If it was made for the PC, it would have been better, because graphically it would have been better. I think that they might not have had the budget that they would have had for this. I'm not sure about sort of the PC market in 1999 to 2001-ish. I think it was down, if I'm mistaken, or it was the beginning of the decline before Steam became a thing and revived the PC game development scene. But I still can't help but feel that some of the functionality would have been better. There wouldn't have been as many bugs, and if there had been bugs, maybe there would have been a modding community to fix them. They could have released a tool set or something for Aidyn. And that's another thing I think the game has a bit of a flaw with, is its narrative cohesion towards the end of it gets a little bit muddied, and it doesn't explain things as well as it could. It leaves things cryptic. I like the crypticness of the game. That was one of the things that I really loved about Aidyn back when I started playing back in 2001, whenever this came out, whenever I rented it from Blockbuster the first time. Just going into a world that I hadn't experienced, you have to kind of understand the mindset that I was in at the time, where I was coming out of games like Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time that basically doesn't have any lore in the game. You don't learn anything about the game in the game. You can observe the world, and you can go throughout it and interact with it, but for the game itself to tell you about things that happened in the past and leave things to your imagination, just the way like library books, when you go into the libraries in Aidyn, you have like written down. It's as if you were opening up a book to a page, and you see like half of the sentence of the page that came before it, and you don't know like what was on that page. I really want to know. I really want to go through this entire book, but it shows the game shows you opening up the pages in the book in Aidyn. It's as if you were opening them there yourself, and you have a brief glimpse on what this world is. You see into the world at the precise time that this was being written, and it might be relevant information, it might not be relevant information, but you get the feeling like the developers really put a lot of time into fleshing out the lore into this, and I almost wonder if there just wasn't enough space on the cartridge to put in as much as they would have liked. That's the other limitation of being on a console in comparison. The other thing, I really loved the portion from Talawalk to Port Said and past Port Said. Those were the high points in the game for me. I love the characters that are around there. I love the interactions you have. You know, the treasure, the going on the ship, and Captain Amon, and just lots of, just all the little things. That portion of the quest was my absolute favorite. I think my least favorite part of Aidyn has got to be it's the dungeon design. It's the boring sections where there is way too much combat and not enough variety of what you're doing. I guess that's kind of a design principle that's been phased out in modern games, but back then it was kind of, you have sections that's entirely dialogue in cities, and then you had sections that are entirely combat in the dungeons. Some of them were good. Shamsuk's Tower was very good because it was such an interesting place, but the rest of the dungeons in Aidyn, especially the Barrow is the absolute largest offender of this, is that it is just a cave. There's nothing interesting to look at in there. It kind of attempted to do a puzzle with the runestones, and I liked that part of it. That part is fine, but it would have been cool if they had put those symbols that you had to match in the books and actually put an order on those things that wouldn't work if you just went around and touched all of them randomly like I did to get past that puzzle. So I think some things like that could have been a little bit more fun. There could have been like a few more maybe hazards in the game, like trap doors that lead down to spikes and things that you might have to avoid. Detect traps could have been something cool, cooler than it was, meaning that in Aidyn we only ever interacted with objects on our own terms. We didn't ever, trip over a tripwire or whatever else. All of these things, they're so minor that I don't care, because just the journey that Alaron goes on is such a personal one, and you don't see that in games. Even today, you don't see that. The only other game that I really think of that isn't really focused on kind of the save the world type quest, the hero's journey in the purest sense, and more focuses on the inward, would be like The Witcher. If you've ever played that game, the first Witcher. I'm not sure about the other two, which is actually one of my favorite games. I'm not going to go on about that game, though. We're talking about Aidyn, but to have that personal journey to where a character's trying to understand something about himself is better than just a villain is out to destroy everything. And Aidyn kind of had that too, but it wasn't the focus. The climax of this game, I feel, was at the dragon. It wasn't at the end, killing the final boss. The final boss wasn't even hard because I made it easy on myself, but it would have been a very hard fight if I hadn't used Mirror and hadn't known so much about the mechanics of the game. But that wasn't the focus. It was the afterthought. It was the how do we get an epic close, that ends in combat, because everything has to end in combat. I mean, it is a video game. It's not a book. It's not a movie. You can't just end on the philosophical, because that's not what people come for when they play games. They come for gameplay. And fighting Pochangarat was pretty cool. We never got to face Rabasat. And if there ever had been a sequel to this game, maybe we would have fought her there. Maybe we would have taken the fight to Rabasat in the plane, or maybe the act of receiving our name and being joined with our spirit was enough to close the portal in the plane that was leading Chaos to invade, and then they just would become irrelevant and slink back to the outer reaches of the galaxy, or wherever they came from. The outer planes, because they are kind of Cthulhu-like. And for that matter, what would become of Alaron now that he's been crowned King of Gornia, and the quest for his name is complete, and the threat of chaos is no longer plaguing the land? Would he be content to sit and reign in Gornia and live out his years in peace, or would he take to the road again in search of adventure? What would become of Aberkin and Beacon and Keelan? I have my own sort of headcanon as to what would happen, since we never did get a sequel after Alaron was crowned. But imagine it would go something like, maybe he would take to the ocean again and live his life on the sea, just like Keelan had always wanted for them. Or, maybe he would begin to track down Ferris again and round up the old gang. And he never did get that staff, so that might be on his forefront. That was that one loose end we never got to, was taking care of Ferris. You never can in the game. Or maybe he would be content to just live out his days in Gornia with Beacon and Aberkin as his knights, and perhaps he would go and find Rita and Godric and Artro and bring them back, give them a purpose as well. So many possibilities, but we'll never know, because I don't think this game will ever get another remake, or not just a remake. It will certainly never get a sequel if it doesn't get a remake, which is a shame. This game is worth a lot more than that, in my opinion. It deserves another shot, and maybe a better time that is more forgiving, and not necessarily more forgiving, but it's more forgiving in terms of technology and the limitations that wouldn't be present now if they remade this. Perhaps they could put in more quests and other things that would fill it out a whole lot more, expand the world, put in some modern functionality, maybe make the enemies harder, the loot a bit more cool, a little bit more varied, armor models, customizable character appearance, that sort of thing. This would be a great game if they did all that. I hope somebody does eventually, but of course, never gonna hold my breath for that. But I'm over the moon. I'm so happy this journey is over. It's such a long time to be playing one game, and I'm ready to move on to more things now, just different games and different things. I want to grow my skills. I want to try and be less monotone and try and emphasize myself. I have a hard time emoting sometimes, and I like to think that I'm doing my best, but I know I can do better. I have to believe I can do better, and I will. I'll keep trying. I may not be the best, but I'll be the best that I can be for you guys. And again, this is possible. It gave me the drive. Every time I saw a comment or a thumbs up or anything like that, it gives me that oomph to keep going. And without you guys, I wouldn't have completed this. If no one had watched it, if no one cared, I wouldn't have kept going. And you made this as possible as I would. Maybe I would have kept going. I mean, I really do like playing this game. It's something I come back to as often as I can, though it had been such a long time. I honestly thought the last time that I played, when I played through with a friend, would have been the last time. That was kind of my penultimate goal, was to try and introduce a friend to this game, and eventually one did play it with me, and it was a hell of a lot of fun to play it co-op and to hear somebody else's opinion, not just my own. back then. I thought that would be the end of that'd be the end of the story in terms of me and Aidyn, but to share it with everyone and not just one other person it's a blessing. It's what I always wanted to do, and it's such a cool hobby to do. I want to grow my skills. I don't know where to start. I still feel like I'm not a very good video maker in terms of editing. I know there must be better software I can use than what I'm using currently, but I think for my first effort, this was pretty decent. I was thorough. I showed off all that I could. Regrets in terms of gameplay, other than that, I think if I had, well, regrets in terms of the recording anyway. I think if I could choose to cut anything out of this LP, if this hadn't been Iron Man, I wouldn't have ever recorded as much of the Airman Mountains as I did. A lot of those I felt were just patter with mostly combat, and it didn't really add anything to the experience. I think a lot of episodes kind of didn't do much, but it's not really my fault. When I'm doing this type of an LP, I have to remind myself that I have to show what's there. I have to preserve the idea of Iron Man, that I am doing everything, I'm going everywhere. And I didn't just do this an Iron Man run, I did this as a completionist run, getting all the items and going to places I didn't ever need to go to discover lore and to show it off to you guys. And yeah, I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back. I did a good job. I did as well as I could do. Well, I think I've been nattering on way too long for most people. I'm sure you've all tuned out by now. It's very stream of consciousness. I didn't have any plans on what I would say to close this up. I love this game. Even to this day, I know I'll go back to this eventually. I know I'm gonna play it again. It won't be on camera, obviously, but Aidyn is never far from the forefront of my mind when I think about gaming, and we will return. I shall return with new content. A new LP will be starting soon, and I think I've made up my mind on what that's going to be. I've done the art for it, and as soon as the rest of the episodes are uploaded, I think the last episode I uploaded for Aidyn was the Dragon's Lair, so in about another week you'll be seeing this from when I recorded it. And after that, new stuff. In addition to the campaign of Crusader Kings that I'm running currently, we'll be doing something else. I'll spoil it here, you know what, that's fine. We're going to be doing Thief Gold, a first-person stealth game by Eidos Interactive, I think it's called, the company that made it. It's a game where you play as a thief and you sneak around and steal stuff. It's a very gameplay-focused game, but it does have some lore snippets here and there. I think you'll all really enjoy it because it's going to put a different level of my gaming ability on showcase, and it'll lead to some comedy because I'm really not that good at stealth games, I don't think. I've only ever played maybe 2 in my life, and Thief was one of them, so, and I loved that game so much when I played it, I really want to play it again. Future plans other than Thief after Thief, God knows how long that'll take. Hopefully not as long as Aidyn. I don't think it'll take 8 months, just because the nature of that game is mission-based, and you kind of, it's nice and clean. The sections of it are clean, and there's only so much that you can do. In the future, I think you can count on 2 things at some point. One of them will be Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, and I can't say when that'll be. And the other one will be The Witcher, which is basically why I started this YouTube channel. I have so much to say about that game. Right now, I don't think is the right time to play it, but eventually. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for staying on this journey with me through Aidyn Chronicles, the First Mage, and I will see you all next time.